We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Thanks for choosing us. This afternoon, the crowd is getting thicker by the minute at the head office of the Economic and Organized Crime, EOCO, as supporters of the New Patriotic Party and the minority in parliament stormed the place to demand the release of the former chief executive of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, Abdul Wahab Hannan. Well, this is in protest over what they describe as the unlawful and punitive detention of the former NAFCO chief executive. Well, the protest, we know, follows the EOCO's refusal to release Hanan despite meeting the bail conditions set after his arrest over alleged financial crimes. He has been in EOCO custody for more than 10 days now, we know, over his alleged involvement in financial crimes during his tenure at the buffer stock. Well, Kenneth Jesse is at the EOCO head office and he joins us live with more. Let's connect to him as we get details as to what is happening on the ground. Kenneth, so far, what can you report?
Well, nothing has changed for the police presence is still heavy here. We've seen supporters of the New Patriotic Party gather here. Now, mind you, he was arrested alongside his wife on the 25th of June. The wife has since been granted bail to the tune of 30 million Ghana cedis. The husband, Hanan, has not been able to meet the bail conditions, we understand. His bail was set at 60 million Ghana cedis. Now, we got the indication early this morning that the minority in parliament was also going to march here, but the death of the Akwatia MP, we understand, has delayed that march. We do not know as of yet whether they will be coming or not, but we have supporters of the New Patriotic Party here. Some of them coming from all the way from Pusiga constituency, where Hanan was the parliamentary candidate of the New Patriotic Party in the 2024 elections. Let me get a thought or two from them. First, let me start from Moses Aboy, who is the former regional youth organizer here in the Greater Accra region of the New Patriotic Party. You've been here for a very long time. What are they telling you?
Thank you very much. So far, they are not telling us anything. As you are reporting, last week, we'll be able to grant the wife, and then we'll be able to meet the conditions. If anybody is telling you that we have not met the condition, it is totally no. But they are trying to show us politics. They are using power to intimidate us. But what I'll tell the whole country is that our NPP members should be firm, and let's all unite and come back. NDC, just 6 months, they are just showing us power. They are not using the law, because we all know if they think they are doing the right thing, they should send Mr. Hanan to court. Why would they keep him for 2 weeks without anything? They don't have anything against him. You just ask us to come and a 60 million bail condition, and we'll be able to meet the condition. But I'm telling the NDC and Mahama that this country is not for NDC. Ghana is for us. We are enjoying peace. And I want to call on the Peace Council, the religious body, international communities, that NDC is trying to change the democracy that we are enjoying. A government who wants to change the judicial, a government who is trying to put the law into his hands. It is not fair. But we, the youth of this country, the youth of NPP, will not accept this thing.
Moses, I'll come back to you. We have others here who have come all the way, as I mentioned earlier, from Pusiga constituency. We have the constituency organizer, secretary for the New Patriotic Party in Pusiga. Why did you find it prudent to come all the way from, please, if you can come forward a bit, all the way from Pusiga to demand for the release of Hanan?
Thank you so much. Initially, when we heard of his arrest, we thought the government was doing its mandate by investigating former appointees or those who have ever held office as ministers or CEOs. We were there for 2 days, constitutionally 48 hours. He was supposed to be released. But that's where they now give the outrageous bail condition, almost 80 or 90 million. We thought that 60 million for Alhaji Hanan and then the wife 30 million. That's combined, put together, almost 80 or 90 million. 90 million. So we thought it wise that as a constituency secretary, I need to be here and also to know what is actually happening. The reason why Yoko is holding our former PC and our brother. That's why we were here. When we came, since last week, Wednesday, we've been able to meet the bail condition. Everything is set. But Yoko keep on giving us excuses based on technicalities. Last Thursday, Wednesday, they promised to give him a bail. That was in the evening. We got to the evening, the boss was nowhere to be found, the deputy was nowhere to be found. So then they promised Thursday, that Thursday 9 o'clock. Thursday 9 o'clock in the morning, we were here. Till evening time, they were not picking their calls again. You see, but we know what is happening. Friday the same thing, Saturday the same thing. We know what is happening. There are some NDC bigwigs who are trying to tarnish the image of Alhaji Hanan because they are aware what he came to the Boku zone, what he has been able to do for the whole zone. You see, when you go to Boku zone today, Boku zone has 6 constituencies. If you want a popular politician, you can't mention a name than Alhaji Hanan. There were some NDC big guys who were there, that their names were always all everywhere. Today, their names are sinking. And they think this is the right time they can use to tarnish the image of this God-sent soul to our zone. But you see, my brother, nobody can tarnish the image of Alhaji Hanan unless the Almighty Allah. He has been created by God to serve humanity, and that's what he is doing. Okay. We are here. Today is Monday. Today is 13 days. We are not going anywhere till Alhaji Hanan is released. Okay. So that's what we are now.
I'll come to you, but let me also add that the wife who was granted bail last week is also here to show support to the husband, but she's refused to speak to us, the media. And if my camera person can pan to the Yoko building there, the police scene, you can see that the police vehicles, most of them have moved away. It's a bit different from earlier in the morning where there were a lot of police vehicles there and a lot of police personnel there. There are still police personnel, but they are not as many as they were earlier in the morning. Let's continue the conversation. I understand we have a Nasara coordinator here as well in the Upper East region. You've also come all the way from the Upper East region to support Hanan. Have they told you his charges, his crime? Have you been told?
No, up to now. There is no any charges against Hanan. It's just a ESA. There is no charges. But Hanan arrest has not surprised me. During the election, the NDC national chairman came to Pusiga and promised them when they've come to power, they will arrest Hanan. Then this is what we are experiencing.
Why did they say they were going to arrest him?
And that is what he said. Because when you go to Pusiga, you can see the development, what Hanan brought it there. And then the allegation that Pusiga MP is the chairman's girlfriend. That is the allegation we are giving. That is what we are getting, the big wins. So Hanan is a young guy who also tried for the people in Upper East. The whole of the 5 northern regions, there is nowhere you can go and ask about Chief Hanan, and 8 people will tell you the good things about Hanan. But they want to destroy him. But God Almighty Allah didn't destroy him. So we are still on the path. And then we went to tell Raymond. We keep on telling Raymond. More than 20 people live here and left the office. So when he's doing anything, he should also know. One day he will leave the office. So all the dirty work he done from this office, maybe so one day too, he will also come here. How can you detain a citizen for almost 2 weeks now?
When you release Galamseyers, Chinese Galamseyers to go back to their country freely. This is Ghana. Mr. Hanan is a Ghanaian, and then you can keep him in detention for almost more than 2 weeks. But a Chinese man or woman will come to Ghana and destroy our water bodies, then he will go back to his country freely. This is Ghana. So what we are just saying is that simple. The John Mahama administration should know very well. You know, their government is made out with young appointees. They should watch out. NPP will be back. And when we come back, each and everybody will pay for what they have done. That is what we have for them.
It's about 3:15. What happens now? How long are you going to stay here?
No, we are going to be here 24 hours. Like I said, we have advised ourselves by 6 p.m. if Hanan is not out, we go naked. Because you see, we cannot allow the NDC to keep intimidating us. And I want to question some of our leadership who think when there's a problem, they'll fold their hands and be home. If today is Elijah Hanan, tomorrow it will be someone. We need to unite and let these people know that what they are doing is not fair. Ghana is not for them. That is what we have to let them understand. We are threatened. I am telling the party leadership, if they are not careful and they will allow NDC to be intimidating our own people and they are not saying anything, we'll advise ourselves and come to them. I will mobilize the party and come, because we have to stop this nonsense that is going on. If you think you are right and you are backed by the law, take him to court and stop this nonsense that you are doing.
Okay, thank you very much. So these are the sentiments that have been expressed by the supporters who have showed up here. To my left also, there are a group of supporters there in the bars. I mean, it's looking like it's going to rain, so most of them are resting in the bars for the meantime. And we're told we do not have any confirmation as of yet whether the minority is going to show up or not. As I mentioned earlier, the death of Akwetia MP, Mr. Kumi, has delayed them a bit, but they have said that they're going to be here until the man is released, and they've even threatened to go naked if he's not released. I will wrap up with the youth organizer of Pusiga, of Boko Central. I'll wrap up with him briefly. Are you also going to be here until Mr. Hanan is released, as your colleagues have mentioned?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are not leaving until they release him for us. You see, all these things for us is not surprise. It is a political motivation detention. Because why will you deny the person bail for the past 13 days? You've arrested him. If you think he has done something wrong, process him, take him to court. You don't detain him because there are some political motivated powers back there who are pushing you to detain him. You've detained him with the wife. You've released the wife. Release him if you think he has done something wrong within his office. So why will you detain him for the past 13 days? Is that the country that we've handed over to Mahama? When NDC was in power, somebody was occupying this office. Is that the way the person was behaving when NPP was in power under Bawumia government? Very well, we are advising our youth there. We should reorganize ourselves and recapture power come 2028. So that we will also put somebody here. But we are drawing the attention of Ghanaians, the civil society, especially the media. The media is quiet about the whole thing that is happening.
We are not. Join you.
Well, I expect the media to be hammering on the government that this is not what they promised. They promised to come and reset the country. Is that how they are resetting the country? Arresting people?
Just because someone lives behind the president.
Absolutely. You don't do that. If you arrest somebody and you think the person has done something wrong, process the person, take him to court. But you don't go there with Rambo-style arrest people and give them condition of bail that you know very well that they cannot meet it. What is that?
Thank you very much. So, Faustina, that's the scene that is happening here. The supporters saying that they are not leaving until Hanan is released. But the building here, the headquarters, looks very calm. Here, as I mentioned earlier, the police presence is still here, although most of their vehicles have moved away. There's still police officers who are at post ensuring that no harm is done at all. So that's the current scene here at the Yoko headquarters in Accra.
Just before I let you go, We received reports that the minority will be marching there. Have you spotted some of them already?
Well, not yet. The indication that we had also was that they were indeed going to be massing up here like they did when Ashanti regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Chairman Woodtubi, was detained in this very building a few weeks ago. But because of the death of Ernest Kumi, who is the current MP for Akwatia in the eastern region, we understand that it's delaying them a bit, but we really do not have confirmation as to whether or not they will still make it here, or in solidarity with Ernest Kumi, they would postpone their marching to this premises. So as of now, we're not sure whether the minority is going to show up here or not.
Can I just come to you live there from Iyoko headquarters here in the Greater Accra region? And this afternoon, we're keeping our tabs on that because the NPP have served notice that they are not leaving the area until they release the former CEO for the buffer stock company. Well, away from that, this afternoon, the battle lines are drawn, not at the polling stations, though, but in a war of numbers as two rival polls clash over who truly leads the New Patriotic Party's flag bearership race. One poll released by the research group Africa Policy Lens boldly claims that Dr. Bawumia holds a commanding 70.6% lead, and we'll be interrogating that data here on the Pulse. The other, by Sanity Africa, stirs controversy by placing Kennedy Agyapong in front with a whopping 54.1%. Well, the question now echoes louder than ever. Whose numbers should we trust? Well, let me begin by breaking down the data from Sanity Africa survey, and would also bring you reaction from the camp of Kennedy Agyapong. That survey is coming up on your screens as we look at some of the key findings they have put together. Well, on our touch screen here, we've just put together some numbers that could help us break it down. Now, when it comes to the delegate surveys report, based on them, they are saying that Kennedy Agyapong is leading with 51.4%, followed closely by Dr. Bawumia, 42.2%, I beg your pardon. Then there's Dr. Brian Agyapong, 3.1%. Educhum is sitting at the bottom with 3%. That's the data they're providing us this afternoon. Well, let's look at the regional breakdown of this survey that they put together by Sanity Africa. Just look at some of the key regions and their prediction as to how delegates would vote. Mind you, the National Delegate Conference is coming up within a matter of 12 days. And so we're looking forward to how this will pan out. When it comes to the party breakdown, when it comes to regions, let's look at the Ashanti region. They're predicting Kennedy Agyapong will win that seat with 53.5%. When it comes to the Ashanti region, they're predicting Bawumia would be losing by 29.7%. Brian Agyapong, they predict 5.1%. And then Osei Duchum, 9.5%. And the others who may be willing to join the race at a later time, they're predicting 2%. So this is in the stronghold of the party, the Ashanti region, and this is the survey that Sanity Africa put together. Let's move on to other regions and get to find out what exactly they found during the survey. In the Eastern region, for example, they're predicting 60.8% win for Kennedy Agyapong, Dr. Bawumia 22.9%, Brian Agyapong 13.7%, Osei Duchum 2.6%, and others 0.0%. That's the prediction in the Eastern region. Well, this is contradicting the figures that the other survey have put together. We'll be going into that shortly. Let's move on now to another region as we look at some of the key findings that this survey has put together. When it comes to the Greater Accra region, they're predicting Kennedy Agyapong will win the primaries with 52.5%, and that Bawumia will follow closely with 38.9%, Brian Agyapong 5.2%, Osei Duchum 2.8%, and others 0.6%. So these are the key areas. We've taken you to the Greater Accra region, with the Ashanti region, the Eastern region, but what's the finding in the Volta region? In the Volta region, they're predicting a 49.1% win for Kennedy Agyapong. When it comes to Bawumia, they're predicting a 46.3%. He's following Kennedy Agyapong closely. Brian Achampong, they're predicting 1.5%, and then Dr. Yaw Seidichum, they're predicting 3.1%. Others 0.0. So that's the basic finding from a group called Sanity Africa. They've been doing some digging in to find out who exactly the delegates will be voting for coming elections as the party looks at reclaiming power. And we're looking at that this morning because that's not the only survey out for grabs. And we'll be getting reaction from the camp of both Kennedy Agyapong and Dr. Bawumia, because another survey has also popped up. And this other survey is actually what we're going to be looking at very soon, just to get a sense of what exactly their findings are. It's by a research group called Africa Policy Lens, and they are predicting a win for Dr. Bawumia. In fact, their number is at a staggering 70.1%. So they actually are of the opinion that after talking to delegates feel that the man for the job is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And this is what we're interrogating today. We want to understand their sample frame and what technique they use to gather this data as we look at the conflicting data from both Sanity Africa and themselves as well. So let me bring in Dr. Hayford Mensah. He's senior lecturer at the University of Ghana and senior research fellow for Africa Policy Lens. He joins us live on The Pulse. And later I'll also be having a conversation with aide to Dr. Bawumia, who is Miracles Apwaji, as we look at the findings of this group. But let me start with you, Doc, and just get to understand. First of all, what sample size did you use to collate your data, and what technique did you adopt?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners. And so we set out to conduct this poll, keeping in mind the voter population of 80,774,159 potential voters for the 2024 GETMA elections. And so in every survey, you need to make allowance for what we call the margin of error. And so we accounted for a 2% margin of error, but with a confidence interval of 99%. In other words, if we presume to make errors in our estimation or whatever, we are expecting that it should be plus or minus 2. That is the whole idea. So when you apply this to any basic sample size calculator, you would have a total sample of 4,160. And this 4,160, we decided to reach out to all 276 constituencies that we have in the country. And to do that, we identified the constituencies and the number of voters proportional to those constituencies and assigned numbers to them. And so you don't have equal numbers throughout, depending on the constituency and the number of voters that we expected. But when you aggregate everything, it comes to 4,160. And that is what we did. And so when we go into any polling station that we identified, because we work in over 832 polling stations, that's where we collected our data from across the country. And any polling station we go to, we have a criteria that we follow. Try to identify a young person, depending on whether it's an urban or a rural setting. If it's a rural setting, obviously we'll look out for the most economically active profession there. If it is farming, we identify a farmer. If it is trading, we identify a trader within that bracket and speak to them. So these are the modalities we followed in getting our numbers across for our poll.
No breakdown. How did you arrive at the figure you've put out? What were the findings? Let's start from the Ashanti region, for example.
Now, if you take overall, if you look at the overall population, this poll had a number of objectives. Number one was to find out what exactly accounted for the loss of the New Patriotic Party in the 2024 elections. Number two was to also find out who were the population that did not go to the polls, to the ballot to cast their vote. And because this was, we noticed that a number of people did not actually cast their ballot. And so we wanted to understand which demographic population were they and where could they be found. And number three, to also gauge the political future of the New Patriotic Party, as well as even for the National Democratic Congress. And when you put everything together, so don't forget, based on what we have described, we're speaking to both persons who identified, in fact, 55% of the people we spoke to identify themselves as being pro-NPP people who ordinarily would vote for the NPP. Then we have people who identify themselves as being within NDC, were 44%, and other political parties took the rest of the numbers. Now, when you put all of this together, and the question is posed to them, if you were NPP delegate, who would you vote for in the NPP, or to become the leader for the NPP, that is the NPP flag bearer race? And here, I want to clarify that here is looking at overarching by population, irrespective of political affiliation. And you have a staggering 52% of them indicating that they would prefer to have someone like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to lead in the NPP, especially given that after His Excellency John Mahama, they need somebody who can actually continue within the space of leadership in the country. And based on what we had already found out to say that which political party do you belong to, etc., we were able to disaggregate the data to find out whether or not these responses we are getting is driven by the pro-NPP people or the pro-NDC people. And the data suggests, if you disaggregate them, that 70.6% of persons who identify as NPP, and here it includes persons who said they had actually voted in 2016 for the NPP, people who said they had voted for the NPP in 2020, and some of them actually did not vote for the NPP in 2024 because of other reasons. So these are the people who say, 70.6% say the best person, in their opinion, to actually lead the NPP in the lead up to 2028 general election should be His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Then if you look at those who believe it should be Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, it's about 21.4%.
Okay.
Now, if you take persons who identify as NDC and you throw the same, disaggregate the data with the same group of people, you find that 48.4% of them actually say that they prefer Honorable Kennedy Agyapong to be the leader of the NPP going into the general elections. And when you put all the different regions together, interesting patterns evolve. Now, you realize that in the northern regions, i.e. Upper East, Upper West, Northern, Savannah, Northeast regions, it is really a no game for any other political party. It is really tilted, skewed towards His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, when you come to the south, there is some form of, you find especially in the Volta region, there was a real lead for His Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. If you go to a region like the Central region and then Western North region, Kennedy Agyapong is in the lead. In the Hafu region, there was a split of the vote between Honorable Kennedy Agyapong and His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, this sends a signal. We did not just end us here. We did follow up with qualitative interview because we needed to get the whys, the reasons behind the choices of people. Now, let me say this. One important reason that respondents ascribe to indicating that they think Bawumia will be the right person to lead the NPP is the fact that, in their opinion, if you take a look at the performance of NPP in 2024, they believe the performance could have been worse, but for His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And that is number one. Number two, if you look at the contribution as to who, in their opinion, really played an essential role in even keeping the party together before, during, and after the elections, his name pops up with a staggering 73%. And this is followed closely by the role of Samira Bawumia. And you look at the other groups within the hierarchy, from national leadership, council of elders, and many other people, you realize that their contribution and what surprised us is actually the role of MMDCs. Their role in the entire campaign and everything was really identified to be negligible. And so that for me is revealing, and I believe the political flag bearer contenders would have to take a cue from that and see who they're actually aligning with to make sure that they actually get this. Now, other reasons, you take the northern factor. Persons believe that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was able to get a number of votes in the north because he is the son, they call it, of the northern region. And so there was a bit of a split. And before the introduction of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, it had been what ordinarily we all would say a stronghold of the NDC. But since 2008, when he was introduced to the game, consistently there has been a steady improvement in the performances of the NPP.
Okay.
And
Doc, you would have to stay with me because I want to explore this further. But something is happening right now, and we have to break that to you. Well, we'll be going back to that conversation, but I want to take you to Parliament now. The Minority Leader, Alexander Feyomarkin, is making comments on the passing of the Equity MP. Let's go live.
You are paying. Well, like we say, God knows best. Speaker, I just checked the background of this young man, born 1984, pursued his first degree, and per his public records, he's pursued 3 second degrees, an MBA in corporate governance, an LLB in law, MSc in defense and international politics, served previously as a security manager, proud to join in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, a lot can be said. For now, I would want to leave it here by way of the credentials he brought to this house. The Speaker, his records in this house, both at the plenary and committee levels, are quite profound and are known to all. Above all, this brother had all that anybody would want to have in a brother. He lived the prayer of this house, quote, a country of righteousness where none shall wrong his neighbor, unquote. No one can ever say that in his few months in this chamber, he was controversial or wronged colleagues. He was always there, seeing him every day happy and all. Mr. Speaker, this house is aware that Today we programmed a couple of business. The majority leader informed us last week of business for this week. It is the prayer of this side of the house, the NPP minority caucus, of 88, regrettably -1. To pray, with the indulgence of the leader of the house, that today's proceedings be terminated as we observe a minute of silence in his honor. The Speaker, it's a very sad day. Sad day to a family, to a constituency, to democracy, to parliament, and to the people of Ghana. We know not when any of us may receive the summons. Colleagues, let's take heart and continue with our service to Mother Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate this treasured space to break this unfortunate news. I do so with a lot of regret and a lot of hesitation. But it's my duty to be the bearer of it. And I've done so. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Majority Leader.
The Right Honourable Speaker, definitely and arguably this is one of the saddest days of this House. Like he said, I saw on the platform some publication to the effect that we had lost our younger brother, Honorable Ernest Kumi. But I didn't believe it. I just thought, in this our politics, sometimes people put out all sort of things. So I just thought it was. And then I got another message that said, Leader is serious. It's true. It's published by Joy News and other credible news platforms. And I really was saddened by the development. Very young, just a little over 40 years. Very bright, as the minority leader has presented vividly. Within a short period, he had strung a number of degrees in diverse fields of study, showing that this is a very studious young man. At that age, he believed in democracy. He participated and effectively, and as a result, took a constituency as weighty as Akwatia from within his party and in the general elections. So this is a young man full of promise for the store of knowledge, intellect, promise for store of energy that this House needs to sustain it. The prime of his life, like the minority leader has indicated, he has everything that a young man of his age will need. And to be taken away from us at this stage in his life is not only a loss to his family, It's not only a loss to Akwatia as a constituency, it's a loss to Ghana because we wouldn't know where he would have ended up in terms of the leadership of this country. And we may never know what we have missed by losing him so early in his political career. I believe that this House has suffered a terrible blow, and it's the kind of blow that when you take, you can't stand. Even sitting will be a problem. And so I join my colleague to appeal to colleagues here and then Right Honorable Speaker, that we do take an adjournment for today, and tomorrow we can come back and put ourselves together to be able to conduct public business. I know this is not a time for reading tributes. The family is still struggling to come to terms with what has happened. His constituency is still struggling to come to terms with what has happened. But we wish them, we extend our condolences to them, and our prayers are with them. And as a house, we are with them in this period of extreme grief that they must be suffering now. And it is not the minority caucus that has lost, it is this parliament that has lost. Because he was a member of the House before he was a member of the minority caucus. So, Mr. Speaker, I join my colleague to pray for an adjournment so that we can all go back and then put ourselves together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, may we observe a minute silence. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Honourable members, I will therefore put a question for adjournment. As many as are in favour of adjournment, say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned till Tuesday, the 8th day of July 2025 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Can you please go back?
Yes, sir.
Can you please
go
move
where?
to the side?
Where? You came to meet me. You
Parliament adjourning sitting after observing a 1-minute silence in honor of the late Member of Parliament for Akwitia, Ernest Kumi. Well, that's how we wrap up that session from Parliament, but the conversation goes on, and my colleague Ashanti, who's on the ground, will be getting more reactions from members of Parliament as we're keeping our tabs on that. Now, just before we took you to Parliament for that happening now, we're having a conversation with a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, and his name is Dr. Hayford. He was just running us through some of the key findings of research put together by Africa Policy Lens, which puts Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on top of the flag bearership race for the New Patriotic Party. We also just saw a survey from a group, a research group calling itself Sanity Africa, also predicting that Kennedy Agyapong would be leading that race. And so we're just looking at the dynamics and their sample size, the sample frame, the technique, what exactly went into this conflicting data. And just before we went to Parliament, just to take that live feed, we're having a conversation with Dr. Hayford. So Dr. Hayford, let's just wrap up the conversation. I can see that the survey also looks at what influenced people's vote in the previous election. I just wanted you to highlight that for me briefly. What were some of the leading causes for the low turnout for NPP supporters during the polls?
So interestingly, if you look at the number one cause for what influenced decision of voters in the 2024 election, they will tell you it was the economic hardships. And this was the staggering number one cause, and it wasn't surprising at all. Now, what is surprising to me is rather the number of persons who identified as NPP who actually said they voted for the NDC for, in their opinion, their expectations have not been met. And they had a lot of concerns for the previous administration. So you find about 14% of persons who were NPP who tell you that they actually are NPP. And if you look at the voting pattern, they actually voted NPP in 2016, voted NPP in 2020, but in 2024, voted NDC. But the base of those who identified as NDC in 2016 and voted in that order, 2020, you see that 44.6%. So the NDC base who actually voted NDC remained unchanged. But in 2024, some persons who believed to be NPP actually voted for the NDC candidate because, number one, they believed that the economic condition was there. Number two, they also believed that they were not satisfied with the performance of the Akufo-Addo administration. And these were the two leading causes that were identified.
Let's look at the Ashanti region just before I let you go. And we're looking at the breakdown of the data when it comes to the prediction that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would be leading the flag bearership race. We've just seen data from Sanity Africa predicting that in the Ashanti region, Kennedy Agyapong would lead. What are your findings?
In the Ashanti region, it is Bawumia who is leading. So there are 12 regions in which Bawumia actually leads. So you have the Ashanti region, all the 12, all the 16 except Central region, Volta region, Western North region, and Hafu region was a split. So all the 12 other regions were all leading, Bawumia was leading that. And you find that even though in the northern region, the numbers are not as dense as you find in the Ashanti region, the northern regions were automatically, it was no competition for other candidates. It was a complete landslide for Bawumia. Then when you come to the Ashanti region, I just want to get the exact numbers.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm looking forward to, because the survey by Sanity Africa that we just went through predicts that Kennedy Agyapong will be winning that seat by some 53.5%. They predict Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would lose that seat with 29.7%. And then Brian Agyapong will follow closely, 5.1%. Yawase Duchum, they say 9.5%, and others 2%, depending on who else decides to join the race. And so we just wanted specific as to what exactly your survey found.
Now, if you take Ashanti region, for example, we have Kennedy Agyapong polling 15.1%.
Okay.
Whilst Dr. Bawumia polling 83%. So, in fact, the support base in the Ashanti region is actually one of the strongest for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And so this is a sharp contrast with what we are finding in the other survey, as you mentioned.
And highlight your sample size for me, especially in the Ashanti region.
Okay, so I will need to do a bit of work, but Ashanti region, obviously, and Greater Accra was the highest in terms of proportions, the number of persons we interviewed. Yes.
I appreciate your time here. Let me bring in Miracles Abuaji's aide to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I'm sure you've just been looking through the findings of this group, and you must be pleased. Your candidate is leading. Miracles, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly. Whilst we wait to get clearer connection to Miracles Abuaji, if you just tune in, we're just looking at two different surveys. Oh, beautiful. I have you now. That's fine. Claire, I have a clear connection to you now, and I'm very pleased that you have joined us. I'm sure you've been looking at both data. We've just broken it down for you. When it comes to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, they're predicting a 70.6% win. And I'm sure you must be pleased.
Well, I don't think that when you're going into an elections, it is about what the polls are pleasing you or making you sad. I think what the polling does for you is to, most importantly, get the commentary and the remarks and the background to the issues, so you can use that to shape your campaign positively. And so that's what we look out for in these polling. So long as the poll is a credible one, we take it and we look at what the issues therein and how we can use that to shape our engagement with the delegates. This is an election that has a known electoral college, and so it becomes very easy for you to identify where the people are. But the extra advantage with some of these polling, especially the credible ones, is that it helps you to know some of the things that you may not be able to pick yourself on the ground, and then you input that or factor that into your strategy to shape your campaign going forward.
Based on the research found by Africa Policy Lens, they are saying that Bawumia would be leading in 12 out of the 16 regions. They predict that his performance in the Volta region, Western North, for example, will be quite poor. Based on that data, what would you be doing to turn his fortunes around?
So we are going to be looking at the reports and getting a sense of the reasons and a sense of the concerns and recommendations that the report carries. And so that would also guide what we do. I mean, from now till 31st January, that the elections are held, everything is possible. And all we do on a daily basis is to ensure that ultimately when the voter gets to the ballot booth, they vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And so we are looking at the reports. But like I said, in as much as it's predicting a 70% win for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that is not what our priority is on. Our priority really is not on the numbers. Our priority is on the issues, what the issues are. Because, I mean, human beings are human beings. We are not machines. And so even if the polling says you are getting a 90%, between now and 31st January is a long time, and a lot of things can happen in between. That's why the numbers really are not much of a focus for us. It is what the issues are. So we first of all look at the poll, we look at the survey, and then we look at the credibility of that survey. Once we confirm that it is credible and is reliable, and we confirm the tools that are used, then we know that, okay, we can also be guided by some of the issues that there are. So we take every polling that is credible very, very seriously, and we factor it into our planning and decision-making going forward.
You keep mentioning credible. I'm sure you've also seen the polls from a group calling itself Sanity Africa. They're also predicting a win for Kennedy Agyapong during the polls. Have you seen that as well?
Oh, yes, I think I saw it last night. And like I said, we'll look into it.
Okay.
We'll validate the credibility. Fortunately, I saw the contact in that report, and I realized it was Nathaniel Alpha, a gentleman that I know.
Okay.
Of course, I haven't known him to be a poster.
Okay.
And so we're definitely going to speak to him to confirm whether and understand the methodology and get the details of how he went about it. If it is credible, if it's established to be credible, yes, we would work with it. But if it's established not to be credible, it's going to be difficult for us to work with. The reason why the definition of credibility is important is that if you are not careful, you can also be misguided or misdirected by a poll, you understand? So somebody sits in his room, cooks up some figures, cooks up some narration, and then you take it and then you begin to run with it. The person will basically throw you off. And so we are going to look into it. Fortunately, I know the gentleman behind the Sanity Africa. I know for a fact also that he's working with the Kennedy Agyapong team, but that doesn't matter. We would surely get in touch with him and find out whether he whatever he did has some credibility to it. If he has some credibility to it and it's not skewed based on the way he is supporting, then we surely will take some cue from it.
Okay, so while we wait for you to do your credibility check, we're wondering what's happening on the ground. We have just 12 days to the delegates conference. How's your camp coping so far? And what is your strategy to win the hearts of the delegates?
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has really not started his campaign yet.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, he hasn't started it yet. He has, since the elections, spent his time and prioritized the restructuring and reorganization of the party. As you can recall, about a month ago, he concluded a thank you tour with the party leadership. And since the thank you tour ended, there's been a series of engagements and meetings at the national, regional, and constituency levels of the party. We're all looking forward to the 19th July conference. Most probably right after the conference, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will then now formally indicate his intention or otherwise, and then we can take it from there. But for now, you can see everything that is going on as preliminary. He has not, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has not started his campaign or in any form at all.
And when he starts, where should we expect that he would start with? The Ashanti region?
Well, there are over 300,000 delegates.
Okay.
About 40,000 polling stations. Each of them will have even 5 executives each. Every constituency has about 17 people. The regional executives are there, the national executives. So these are all groups that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would have to meet. And once before we take off, we surely will share with you what the itinerary or the schedule would be.
Okay.
And I'm sure you're also definitely going to have a report out with us, and you'll be able to follow closely.
So we're looking forward to that, and we are indeed your election headquarters. So when that starts, we'll be giving you the rundown here on the Joy News channel. Thank you so much, Miracles, for your time here on the Pulse, as well as Dr. Hayford for joining us earlier. And we also run you through some of the key findings of Sanity Africa. In subsequent bulletin, we get a reaction of Kwesi Kwarteng, who's spokesperson for Kennedy Agyapong. You're still watching the Pulse. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us here on the Pulse. Well, it's just days to the rerun of the parliamentary elections in 19 polling stations within the Ablumov North constituency, right here in the capital. Well, the exercise, we know, has been triggered by the Electoral Commission's failure to declare a winner 6 months after voting ended. But the NPP is pushing back, questioning the legality and fairness of the process. The party insists only 3 polling stations remain in contention, and they say that any attempt to extend the rerun beyond those polling stations is simply unjustifiable. Well, they have threatened legal action and they want to halt the entire process. They describe it as flawed. And join us now is Henry Nenabwachi. We appreciate your time here on the Pulse. I just want to find out, have you started the legal process already?
Thank you very much, Mifa. Yes, we have done so. We have just made an application to the court to injunct the processes to rerun the 19 polling stations. So yes, I can confirm to you that we have done so. In fact, our position is quite simple. there is only 3 outstanding polling stations. Only 3. And in fact, the Electoral Commission has been very, very consistent on this matter. In fact, from the very first moment when they started their actions or their conduct to collate this matter, you recall that the High Court gave a definitive directive. The High Court said, Ghana Police provide security for the Electoral Commission to collate and declare the 3 outstanding polling stations. Mm-hmm. Subsequent to that, the Electoral Commission, through its deputy commissioners, both Mr. Tete and Dr. Bosman. Mr. Tete wrote back to us, the New Patriotic Party, when we had officially written to them on the 3rd of June, inquiring when they intend to collate the Ablumov North results. And then they wrote back to us that they are ready. For them, out of the 34 polling stations, they have collated all of it but for 3. So the outstanding or the remaining polling stations are 3. They are only waiting for the police to provide them with adequate security. And that is even outside of Ablumov North constituency, not even in the Ablumov North constituency. Outside the Ablumov North, they are only waiting for the police to provide them with adequate security. Dr. Bosman also in Parliament repeated same. In fact, he took Parliament through the entire processes when they did all these collations up to the remaining 3, which is outstanding now. So they have been very consistent with their communication. So this U-turn, for me, it's mischievous. It lacks legal standings. It is most unfortunate. It lacks any political consensus. And for us, we feel that it is out of a certain intimidation. The national chairman of the NDC was on your TV program with Evans. And he said that the Electoral Commission, the arrowheads, the 3 of them, they must all go. And they are not fit for purpose. Those are the words he used. And just a few days after, they come out with this unfortunate U-turn. So from us, this is an illegality. This is unfortunate. It's marks of lack of principle on the part of the Electoral Commission. We have won the elections by 414 votes. The outstanding or the remaining polling stations to be collected are just 3. We are not going to partake in any illegality. We have won the elections. So that is it. The Electoral Commission, they don't even have the authority to call for a rerun. We are done with the elections.
But if you won the elections, as you claim, why not allow the process start all over again? If you're winners, you still be winners.
We will not be part of any fraud. Look, you know the president will be set in Emeva. The president is dangerous. Now it means that in any election, just cause chaos, create problems, so that you prevent the Electoral Commission from collating the results, and then subsequently the Electoral Commission will come back to say that let's do a rerun. It is dangerous. And you see, the other argument is that we are surprised that the police cannot provide adequate security for the Electoral Commission to collate only 3 police, only 3 police outside Ablumov North constituency. But now they have expressed their willingness to provide adequate security for the rerun of 19 polling stations. And this is a recipe for disaster. It's a national security threat. We are done with the elections. And there is a pending High Court directive. The Electoral Commission must not be lawless.
Well, in the suit you say you have filed, what are the key reliefs you're seeking?
Well, first of all, to enjoin the process.
Okay.
Yes, and then for the court to order the Electoral Commission to collate the 3 outstanding polling stations and declare. That is what we know, and that is what they themselves is on record. Officially, they have told Parliament. Officially, they wrote to the New Patriotic Party. So what has changed? So we reject any form of rerun. That is an act of illegality. We reject any form of lawlessness on the part of the Electoral Commission. We reject any form. And again, we reject any form of intimidation.
Are you being intimidated?
The NPP chairman says that hey, you are not fit for purpose, go. And then a day or 2 days after, you want to engineer a certain decision in their favor. No, we are not going to kowtow to that. So we are not going to part of this illegality. Tomorrow we are holding a big press conference in the constituency to show all the results. We have all the 281 polling station results. And we have won by 400, a clear majority, 414 votes. Okay. And the NDC, they know that we have won. Look, we lost Dominic Abenya. Immediately they started the coalition. Yes, we gave him because we had seen the results. In this case, we have carbon copies of 271, and then we have scanned copies of an additional 10, making 281. And we have won these elections. We are not going to kowtow to any illegality. We are not going to be part. We are not going to condone to any illegal process. The Electoral Commission to say, let's go for a rerun of 19 polling stations. We are not going to be part of it.
Okay. I'm for Sina, by the way, but then I just wanted to get the quick reaction of the New Patriotic Party, the passing of the MP for Akweti. I'm sure it came to you as a shock today, as a political party.
It's sad.
What's your response to that?
Very, very sad. And he's not just maybe an NPP member or an NPP MP. He is actually a brother. He's a personal friend. Recently, I traveled with him. We spoke a lot about so many things. I know the ordeal he's gone through in winning the seat. He attempted the first time, he lost. He put in again a gallant fight, and then he won. And then even after that, he had some legal, battles to fight. And then eventually, he is now free to execute his mandate as an MP for the good people of Akweti. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. Very sad. Very, very, very sad. Very unfortunate. Today we're having the National Executive Committee meeting when news broke that we've lost such a young man, very vibrant, very intelligent. It's very sad. It is very, very, very sad. And the family, the wife, I'm having short of words. I'm having short of words. I've been very down and I'm very sad.
But what briefing have you received?
May the good Lord keep his soul. Well, rest in peace, my good brother. I mean, it's very sad, very unfortunate. He was full of life, very strong.
I can see so emotional, how emotional you are.
Yeah.
But then, based on the briefing you received, what actually led to his passing?
We are yet to receive all of these confirmation. I'm sure that in the coming days I'll be able to speak to you on these matters. Okay. We're in a meeting when it happened. The regional chairman of the Eastern region broke the news to us. It was corroborated by the leader, our leader, minority leader in parliament. So for now, we don't have the details, but I'm sure that in the coming days we'll have it and then we can share.
Quite sad. But away from that, the delegates conference is coming up within the next 12 days. How are preparations going so far?
Oh, yes. As I speak, we are having even a meeting at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium where the conference is going to be held. So far, so good. We are going to engage the media on Thursday. The chairman for the planning committee, Honorable, the former first Deputy Speaker, Honorable Joe Sewusu, will address the media on Thursday on the do's and don'ts. We are expecting to have a very good conference. We have some proposals to amend our constitution. It will be put before conference. And because conference is the highest decision-making body of the party, and they have the mandate to cause any amendments to our constitution. So we are expecting to have a very fruitful.
And if you don't mind sharing with us, what are some of these key amendments that you would like them to deliberate on and give the nod?
Again, I also don't want to take the shine out of what the amendment committee is going to share. They also have a press engagement tomorrow where lawyer Frank Davis will also give highlights of the things that we are supposed to expect. But then before, we had sent already 300 proposals out to the constituency party, and we have condensed it. We have consolidated it into some few proposals because some of them were almost similar or the same. So we've just put it together, consolidated it. So the amendment committee chair, even before conference, will address the media on this as well.
Okay. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. That's Hanan, national organizer for the New Patriotic Party, just giving us some key updates. Tomorrow there'll be a press conference. We're told Frank Davies will be addressing that. The party is proposing some key amendments to their constitution, and they would be seeking the buy-in of the delegates during the delegate conference. We're also told that Jose Owusu will be addressing a news conference on Thursday as we look at their preparations ahead of the delegates conference that's coming up within the next 12 days, and we're keeping our tabs on that because, trust us, we are your election headquarters. Now, away from that, security post at the residence of the Electoral Commissioner and the chairperson, as you may know, Jean Mensah, remains abandoned almost a week after officers who manned the post were withdrawn. Well, you know that news broke out about the withdrawal of the security detail, the military security detail, by the way. And we know that the minister addressed why exactly that was done. It's unclear whether the NDC has anything to do with this. If you recall, the NDC chairman, Johnson Asiedu, called that indeed they wanted the EC boss and her deputies sacked. We're trying to find a link to that, but not yet. My colleague James Aveji, by the way, visited her residence and will show you what our cameras captured. But first, let's listen to the Interior Minister, Mohammed Muntaka, insisting the chairperson's military detail has been replaced with police officers.
We agreed that we were no longer going to use military to provide what was civilian protection. So a job was withdrawn and replaced with a police. So if you ask her, she will tell you she has a bodyguard. She has police manning her gate both day and night, and therefore it is never true if anybody says that her security has been withdrawn. What we do generally is to provide security around every neighborhood. That VVIPs, like the chair of the, what do you call it, Electoral Commission, she has a personal bodyguard. Her gate is manned 24/7, just like the Chief Justice, just like the Speaker of Parliament, and all others. And that we are doing. And I'm sure you can call her and find out, and she can confirm that, no, she has both her and her deputies, her office is protected.
But what went into the decision to withdraw the military and replace with the police?
Why should military be performing civilian functions? I mean, our country is not at war. Why should you draw in the military? I mean, you know, the use of military sometimes sends wrong signal to the ordinary citizens. Police are trained with a civilian mind. The military are supposed to concentrate to provide security for our external or territorial integrity. So when we draw them in, we are reducing the number of personnel that the military has to perform those difficult tasks that is usually performed by the military.
Is this exercise going to be limited to the EC chair alone, or are we going to see this cut across all?
Everywhere. I mean, you can find out from the former defense minister, you can find out from almost all the civilians that were using militia. All of that has been withdrawn. All that without exception. And this is a decision that we took as a new government, and that's our policy, no civilian. And we've even encouraged our own members who are ordinary, before they took their offices that they were occupying, some persons were providing military service to them. Yet, when we came, we decided that everybody should be protected with police, and that's what we are doing.
Right, but our independent checks at her residence shows that at the time we went, though, there were no police officers on the ground.
That's not true. We don't. I mean, who says that providing security to me as interior minister is to see police all over the streets around my house? They are supposed to be manning my gate. And that's what we are doing. And I'm saying that far up from her, are people minding her gate? Yes. They are minding her gate. They are following her wherever she goes. Yes.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, let's get clarity. Did you have a communication with her prior to the withdrawal of the military?
Yes, I personally did with her. You can ask her, and she'll tell you I did.
You wrote to her or you called her?
I called her. I spoke to her. All those involved. You can ask the former defense minister. I called them personally to give them head start and gave them when it was even going to start. All that.
And they were in agreement?
It's not about you agreement. We are supposed to provide security for you. And we are telling you that this is how we are going to do it. It's not for you to agree and disagree.
But Draw News can confirm that the security post remains abandoned. My colleague James Aveji has been doing some digging.
We are currently here at the Dade Street in Labone in Osu, where the security details which used to provide security for chairperson of the EC have been withdrawn in the last few days. The issue came up on social media with photos flying about the police abandoning their posts here. As of this Monday morning, as we can report, the police are yet to return to their duty posts here. You see there the tent which used to house them temporarily in the course of the day and shield them from the rays of the sun as well as rainfall is empty. Just a while ago, we saw a civilian, come to park a bicycle and chained it to one of the poles of the tent there and walked away. And as we can see, the place looks abandoned. In the last few days, there are no chairs, and you see there the police a barricade, one of which has the inscription "Stop Police Checkpoint," is standing on the road. There is another one which has fallen and resting on the ground. It doesn't look like anyone has been here in the last couple of days, and so the checkpoint has been abandoned as we speak in the last few days. It is unclear why the security details have been withdrawn. There have not been any explanation from government on why they had to withdraw the security from here. But this is coming in the wake of emerging calls for the dismissal of the EC bosses, including the chair as well as her two deputies. We cannot independently say that this is in relation to those calls or otherwise, but what we can report is that the place has been abandoned. From the Dade Street here in Labone also, we can confirm that there are no securities at these two security checkpoints as at this morning, Monday morning, and even last week when we came here to check on this here in Osu in Accra. I am James Savage reporting for Joy News.
Well, my colleague James Aveji there. But let me take you back to our earlier story, which has brought you two conflicted figures from two different surveys, one from Sanity Africa and the other from African Lens, just predicting who exactly will be leading the flag bearership race for the new patriotic party. I have with me spokesperson for Kennedy Agyapong's team, Kwesi Kwartin, join us live, just get his brief reaction on that survey. Kwesi, I'll start with your survey. I'm sure you've been looking at the survey put together by Sanity Africa. Your initial reaction to that?
Firstly, good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. I decided to respond to this call out of, first of all, respect that I have your part, multimedia group, and based on the long-lasting relationship that my individual and your platform have. And so out of respect, I decided to honor this phone invitation and speak to you. But we are also well aware that as of now, we have received confirmation as a part of the demise of our brother, the Honorable Ernest Kumi. And in the spirit of solidarity, in respect to himself and the entire family, I would want to waive any detailed discussion with regard to any other issue outside his death. It's just a way of showing respect to him and the family and the entire NPP, and that is what Tim Ken believes. But I'm sure subsequently we'll have more opportunity and time to discuss into details the survey. But I mean, just brief comments also by way of respect and not to distort your program. Okay. I would like to say that is a good feedback for all of us. Work on it and make sure that where we need to improve, we improve, and where we also need to take remedial steps we'll take those remedial steps. I will respectfully want to plead with you and your platform at least to waive us from any further commentaries on the survey in solidarity and in commemoration and respect to our demise brother, the Honorable Ernest.
Okay. Your request will be granted. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. Well, away from that, Ghanaian students in the UK and US under the government scholarship scheme say they are stranded and facing the risk of academic dismissal and possible deportation. This follows Scholarship Secretariat's failure to meet its financial obligation despite several formal appeals from the leadership of the PhD student cohorts abroad. The government is yet to respond with a concrete solution or even an official comment. Secretary Ghanaian PhD student cohort in the UK, Albert Kwabena Eduse, is urging government to urgently resolve the ongoing challenges between the universities and the Scholarship Secretariat.
Currently, I've been withdrawn and I was given 60 days and I've got 21 days more to come back to Ghana. So currently for me, I'm not in school, and I've got well-meaning people who are in the same situation like me, whilst others too has been suspended from their course and library and other resources that will aid them in doing their academic works.
When you say 60 days to pay up or 60 days to leave the country?
So for my situation, per my withdrawal letter, it was stated that I've got 60 days to leave the country, and counting from the day I received it to today, I've got 21 days more.
And how long has the Secretariat failed to meet its financial obligations to you and the other students involved?
So it's been spanning since the last government, and then we've been battling with the previous government until they left power. And then when this new registrar came in, or this new administration came in, on the 2nd of May, he came to UK to meet the schools and most of the students. And then he promised us that he will work assiduously to make sure he gets some of these things sorted. But since then, we've still not received any form of communication from him or any authorities just to give us any update as to what the authorities are doing about this. So it's been like more than a year too, and people are owed as many as 36 months of stipend since they started their PhD. And then we are all in the same pool of condition, which we are trying to see how best, as leaders of this group, we can liaise with the authorities and plead with them to come in our aid.
So this urgent need to resolve the financial issue, lest be deported, has this been tabled before the government, this administration? This 60-day window you have?
When we came into power, when we were elected as executives, we have, in one way or the other, tried to engage the relevant authorities, and we've still not gotten any positive response. And then, as a matter of fact, even if per my school, when they used to send the secretariat email just to respond to them, they never responded. And it went to the point for them withdrawing me, and even went to the point of issuing me an invoice to pay my school fees by my own, which I'm in debt in the UK government, which I was told that they will let debt collectors chase me for that. It is a record for my school, which I think has got evidence to back it.
Well, away from that, the Ghana Police Service is condemning the increasing use of firearms at public gatherings including derbas, traditional festivals, and other social events. In a press briefing earlier today, the service described the trend as dangerous and unlawful, cautioning that such acts threaten public safety and the peace of communities. The police say they will not hesitate to arrest and prosecute individuals or groups found displaying or discharging weapons during public events. The concerns follow several recent incidents involving traditional celebrations where firearms were brandished or fired into crowds, putting lives at risk, with the most recent leading to the death of a student in Bimbila. Superintendent Juliana Obing is head of public affairs at the Ghana Police Service.
There are rules and regulations surrounding possession and the use of firearms, and anybody who's come to the police to request or to get one has thoroughly gone through that process. Having said that, I think that we all should be part in engaging the general public on the use, the education, on the use of firearms and the risk involved if you are not in lawful possession of it. Thank you. Well, thank you. So with reference to the upcoming Homo, there's a team that's been set up, made up of officers from the regional command and members of the traditional council, and so we are looking forward to coming together to work as a team to make sure that we do not have any issue of assault during, before, and then after the Homo Festival. So yes, we are very much aware of the Homo Festival that's almost started, and we can assure the general public through your medium that there will be adequate security for the celebration.
Meanwhile, Gilbert Awuni, a key suspect in the death of Queen Mother Pearl Nana Dodowa and the injury of another, has been apprehended by the service.
At about 7 p.m. on the day of the incident, some individuals armed with locally manufactured weapons began firing indiscriminately. One of the shooters, later identified as Gilbert Awuni alias Starboy, allegedly aimed and fired his weapon at close range, striking Pearl Na Dodowa Whitaker, 33-year-old Queen Mother of Papase, killing her instantly. Another victim, Priscilla Na Ayele, who is 38 years and a trader, was also shot in the chest and is on admission at the University of Ghana Medical Center, thankfully in a stable condition. Further details has established that the suspects had consumed sobolo, which we suspect was laced with some narcotic substances at the ceremony before the incident happened. Now, for realizing that he had committed the crime, that is Starboy, he fled the scene on a motorbike with his friend known as Oxygen and sought refuge in Asokore, a suburb in the Ashanti region. Acting on intelligence from the Accra Regional Police Intelligence Team, a team was dispatched and moved swiftly to Asokore, where we arrested Gilbert Awuni alias Starboy. He's 21 years and an Okada rider and a resident of Denchwa here in Accra. He has confessed to the crime during interrogation that he fired the weapon in display under the influence of alcohol and fled the scene thereafter. Efforts are underway to recover the firearm, which he claimed to have discarded after the incident.
It was built for about 700 inmates, but today thousands are crammed inside the Insawan medium security prison. The clogged justice system, endless remand cases, and inmates without legal support. Joy News' Stephen Mensah takes us behind the walls where hope is running out and justice feels like a distant dream.
Medium security prison, there is barely room to breathe. Built to hold 717 inmates, it now holds more than 5 times its capacity. The results: overcrowding, poor living conditions, and a justice system grinding at a painful pace.
I'm a lawyer. I pay my lawyer for my first time, but he's not attending to me.
Meet Leonard. He's been on remand for 8 years. No trial, no conviction, and no idea when or if justice would ever be served.
My CID just presented me only 3 times at court. Like my last court that I went was last year, 13th June 2024. Till now, no court, no anything.
Leonard's story is not unique. It reflects a widespread problem. Hundreds of inmates are stuck in limbo, waiting endlessly in a system stretched thin. Legal aid is scarce. Representation is a luxury.
Till now, court doesn't ask anything from me. I'm not sentenced, I'm in remand.
Kwame, just 24, is serving a 15-year sentence for robbery and assault. Now, he believes an appeal could change his fate if only someone would help him file one.
Mini lawyer, minis can't be my yes can hang bintino, court for my lawyer. Minya boa for Minya pay, by me proceed there, Maji. I say Minya boa for Bawumia, come any better pa.
These young men are the face of a broken justice delivery system. Eastern Regional Commander of Prisons, DDP Patrick Thomas Siedu, says the facility is at a breaking point.
Yeah, hitherto to those who are the condemned cells, when they serve 10 years, they are always qualified for the grant of presidential amnesty. So over some period of time now, it has not happened. So when they serve 10 years, based on the good conduct and steady industry, they are committed to life imprisonment. The facility was built for a particular capacity. So now you know that we are overstretching the capacity of the facility. It is a challenge feeding because they are being fed on 1 cedi 80 pesos a day. And then this has persisted over a decade ago. And then we know that, what is obtained currently in the market.
Backlogs, broken systems, and forgotten lives. Until reforms come and justice finds its way behind these walls, the crisis would only deepen. Stephen Menson's report for Joy News.
Well, away from that, academic work at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is facing fresh disruptions as the ongoing nationwide strike by the Tertiary Education Workers Union Ghana begins to bite hard on campus just as students sit for their mid-semester examination. The strike declared last week over the alleged refusal of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, to recognize TEU GH's representation on university's governing council has left critical non-teaching services at a standstill. Cleaners, posters, security personnel and other essential support staff have all laid down their tools, creating sanitation and administrative challenges across lecture halls, examination centers, halls of residence and offices. My colleague Nana Boachi Yadum has been following this story closely. He joins me live from KNUST campus. Nana, tell me, how is this affecting the mid-semester examination on campus?
Well, firstly, the mid-sem examination began today, right after TEU Ghana, declared their strike last week. The school has been affected severely by the strike because the lecture halls and the examination centers have all not been kept clean because these cleaners who are supposed to make sure that the places are well kept are all part of non-teaching staff who form a part of the TEU GH group who've laid down their tools. And so it has really affected them in a way that the sanitation issues on campus are very abstruse. And also security is very, very dire on campus because the security personnel also form part of the non-teaching staff and they've also laid down their tools. This does not allow students to go about their academic work, especially go and study at night. So some of the students we've been interacting with have been raising concerns about the strike today. And how are authorities dealing with this, really? Well, we've been able to engage the management of the KNUST. We've been able to speak to students and then TEU GH leadership. For management, this is a very unfortunate day for them because Although the mid-semester was scheduled earlier, even before till Ghana decided to go on strike, this strike is not really helping because they were expecting some of the cleaners to come around and keep the various examination centers clean. But then unfortunately, that did not really happen. Although TOTs have agreed to release some of their staff to them. And also, they have been complaining about security issues on campus, and they are calling on the university or TOTs, I must say, to make sure that they release some of the security personnel for them to also keep the security of campus into their hands.
And then have we heard from the group itself?
Yes, we've been meeting with a group. In fact, they've been gathered at the commercial area of the KNUST, and since morning, as I speak to you, they are still there. They are going to be mobilizing themselves and gathering at the commercial area until their demands are met. This is to make sure that their staff or their group, none of their group members would move out and then sneak out to go and work for the university. They are strictly maintaining the fact that they are on strike and that none of their members should be released at any point in time to go and do their work. And so they're strategizing, mobilizing, and making sure that their members adhere to the strict rules laid down for the strike.
Thank you, Nana Bwachi, for providing us with that update. Now, away from the Ashanti region, the farming community of Nipahiamwa is appealing for help to save its only basic school from collapse. Built by villagers nearly 30 years ago, the structure is now helped by wooden pegs and closes whenever it rains. And Sabit has more in this report.
Along the Techiman-Kintampo Highway lies the farming community of Nipahiamwa. Its future embodied in its only school, the Nipahiamwa Basic School, built by the community themselves back in the year 1994 with a hope for their children's future. 30 years on, that hope is crumbling. What you see here isn't just an old building. It is a structure being held together by sheer will and these wooden pegs, a desperate measure to stop it from falling down on the pupils inside. Aduya Da Costa is the headmaster of the school.
This school has been in existence for about 30 years. For some years now, the government has adopted the school. We have a lot of challenges in the school. As we can see from the footage, we have challenge of office, we have challenge of school building.
Behind me, these four, classroom spaces, built by the community with these wooden boards, houses from KG 1 and 2 through to primary 6. What they are doing is that they have combined, 2 classes each, KG 1 and 2, primary 1 and 2, primary 3 and 4, and then primaries 5 and 6. This is the situation, and the teachers are not happy. They say the situation is heavily affecting teaching and learning.
We do multi-grade. Multi-grade in the sense that class 6 and 5, class 4 and 3, class 2 and 1. That's how we manage things here. We command them. One teacher handling 2 classes is not easy. That one, frankly speaking, is not helping and it's not encouraging, and it does not help teaching and learning.
Well, and so that huge mango tree there is the staff common room. It serves as the office space also. But the sad aspect of the whole situation is that where to keep teaching and learning materials is a huge challenge. Each day they carry these items into the community where a member of the community has given them a space to keep them, and this is leading to the loss of many teaching and learning materials this school has over the years.
Where to even keep our school materials, especially teaching and learning materials, even the registers and other things, where to keep them is difficult. So we need school building.
The fear of rain dictates the school day, but the consequences run deeper than interrupted lessons. Some newly posted teachers reject postings due to the state of the school's structure.
Most of the times, when they come, because of the school, when they see the school, it's not encouraging. Even some of us, we are only forcing.
Faced with neglect and lack of immediate help, the community isn't just waiting. Teachers and pupils are literally taking matters into their own hands. We met them upon our arrival hauling sand to try and shore up a section of the classroom floor that's given away, a stopgap measure for a crisis needing a permanent solution. The resilience of Nipahinyamoe's teachers and pupils carrying sand to save their own classrooms is both inspiring and deeply troubling. This school, built on community hope 3 decades ago, is now a symbol of neglect. The pegs holding it up won't last forever. The people here have an appeal to authorities and philanthropists.
Yani ya kwendu ya tuwa ako tunateho hasabegu tikesera musin komere musi school de mai no mboye nkunja no me computer lab ne ensuna e wasi yeni computer lab school say so ta won mai kwa so dam anasi kofi ntino esa ban say on si school dam mai ya pe office any pipe.
We will be very grateful when government put up a nice structure for us. We have never seen some before.
So this has been the plight of peoples here in the Nipahinyamoa community. Of course, Nipahinyamoa, which literally means man needs help, and this community seriously needs help, and someone somewhere watching us now needs to come to their aid to help rescue the futures of these young ones here. From Nipahinyamoa, here in the Borno East region, my name is Ernest reporting for Joy News.
Well, still on education, it was supposed to be just another school day, but it turned into a nightmare. 4 months after a fatal crash ripped through the lives of dozens of school children in a tragic road accident, families are still trying to piece together what's left. One of them is Letitia, just 13, now missing an arm and living with a story of grief. Stephen Mensah brings her survival story to us in this report.
Letitia was among more than 40 pupils from Ben Kunedu STA Basic School at Konongo, Odumasi, Ashanti region, on an excursion to Akosombo when tragedy struck. Their bus lost control whilst descending the steep Asesiso hills between Edukrom and Sumanya in the eastern region, killing 2 and injuring 15 of her mates. Investigators now say the bus had no valid insurance. The trip, once filled with excitement, ended in blood and heartbreak.
When I walked through town, children stare at me. They are curious to see what my hand looks like. I am appealing to Ghanaians to help me get my hand treated.
At just 13, Letitia has endured major surgery, lost her arm, and missed months of school.
I'm a person who is not to be said. I'm a nation and a cano. If I bet Tommy son, and I'm a person selling. I mean, my bomb, madam, for this home. When the accident happened, I struggled to get up because the bus had fallen on my hand. I remember tapping my friend, hoping she would help me, but she was unresponsive too. Eventually, I was rescued, but when I regained consciousness, I found myself in a hospital bed. My hand had been amputated. She used to help me with the house chores, and now she can't.
From the school bag, heading to school.
Her friend has to come home to carry her backpack so they can walk to school together. I'm pleading with Ghanaians to help me get my daughter's hand treated.
Another victim, Nanamwa, at just 11 years, has undergone 3 surgeries and numerous stitches. He's still in pain.
The driver was speeding. The next thing I saw was the car flipping onto its side. Seat belts and glass. I was thrown from my seat with people landing on top of me.
Help has come from the Accident Victim Support Foundation, which is helping bring some relief to the affected families. The foundation's president, Reverend Cyril Crabb, is calling for more assistance for the over 30 children who sustained various degrees of injury.
We at the Accident Victim Support are doing everything humanly possible to bring some kind of solution to all road users. They have been in this state and they are traumatized. I think that we can help them. We can eradicate or we can erase this traumatized position that they find themselves in their minds by giving them a warm support.
More than 60 people were on that bus, and while the physical wounds may eventually heal, the emotional scars and the pursuit of justice remain.
Sad one there. Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjournline.com. Some top stories there. ENP gold deal, merit-based, not political favoritism. That is from some journal. You can go on my Journal and read more from that story.